Hi everyone, my name is Bridget and welcome to my channel. Today's message is on hidden resentment, but before I begin, I'd just like to clarify that I do not believe in religion. I believe in God and Jesus Christ, and that Jesus Christ came to show us a way to peace and abundance for all. On my walk with God, one of the hardest things He revealed to me was the hidden resentment I'd been carrying deep within myself for a long time. I thought I was being loving by staying quiet. I thought keeping the peace meant suppressing my truth. But God showed me that silence can sometimes become self-betrayal. I realized that many times when people hurt me, disappointed me, crossed boundaries, or spoke to me in ways that wounded my spirit, I said nothing. Not because I didn't hurt, but because I didn't want to hurt them back. I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want confrontation. I wanted to be seen as loving, patient, understanding, and good. But what I didn't understand was that unspoken pain does not disappear. It buries itself deep within the heart. And whatever we bury emotionally eventually grows in darkness. What began as silence slowly turned into resentment, not only towards others, but towards myself. Because every time I refused to speak my truth, I abandoned myself. And God began showing me that many people live this way. Humanity has been taught to suppress emotions, suppress pain, suppress truth, and wear masks to keep everyone comfortable. But eventually the soul becomes exhausted from pretending. Jesus never taught false peace. He taught truth. There is a difference between being loving and being passive. There is a difference between being compassionate and self-abandonment. One of the most powerful things Jesus said was, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Truth brings freedom. But many of us fear truth because truth disrupts illusions. Truth exposes what has been hidden. Truth forces healing. God showed me that resentment is often trapped truth. It is pain that never found a voice. And this is why many people become bitter without understanding why. Because they spent years swallowing emotions instead of expressing them with wisdom and love. Jesus himself never lived this way. People often imagine Jesus as passive, but he was deeply truthful. He loved people enough to speak honestly. He corrected his disciples. He confronted hypocrisy. He overturned tables in the temple when people corrupted what was sacred. He did not suppress divine truth to make people comfortable, and yet he still embodied love. That showed me something powerful. Speaking truth and being loving are not opposites. In fact, real love requires truth. Because without truth, relationships become performances. One parable God brought to my spirit was the parable of the wineskins. Jesus said, "Neither do men put new wine into old wineskins, else the wineskins break." I began realizing that resentment was coming from trying to contain my authentic self inside old patterns of people-pleasing, fear, silence, and emotional suppression. My soul was trying to expand, but my old identity could no longer hold truth. God was awakening inside of me. Many of us were conditioned as children to stay quiet to avoid rejection. We learned that expressing pain might make us difficult, too emotional, or selfish. So we became caretakers of everyone else's feelings while neglecting our own hearts. But Jesus never asked us to lose ourselves to gain approval from people. He asked us to deny the false self, the fearful self, the performative self, the ego-built identity, so that our true self in God could emerge. And part of that transformation is learning to speak truth with wisdom, humility, and love. Not aggression, not condemnation, and not revenge. Truth spoken through love that is very different. God showed me that when resentment builds, eventually it leaks out sideways, sometimes through passive aggression, sometimes through withdrawal, sometimes through emotional numbness, sometimes through anger that seems bigger than the situation itself. Because the soul can only carry suppressed truth for so long. This reminded me of the story of Lazarus. When Jesus arrived, Martha spoke honestly to him. She said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." She didn't suppress her grief. She brought her pain honestly before him. And what did Jesus do? He met her there. God showed me that healing begins when honesty begins. Even in prayer, God does not ask us to pretend. He asks us to see the heart. He already knows the wounds we hide beneath our smiles. Some people think spirituality means become emotionally detached, but true spiritual maturity actually requires radical honesty. God cannot heal the version of us we pretend to be. He heals the real person underneath the mask. And this was one of the deepest lessons of my journey. I had to learn that speaking truth does not mean attacking others. It means honoring what God placed within me. It means having enough self-respect to stop betraying my own spirit for temporary peace. Because silence may avoid conflict externally, but internally it creates a war. Jesus also taught, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God." Purity of the heart is not perfection. It is alignment. It is when the inner self and the outer self become honest with one another. No masks, no hidden bitterness, no pretending. And I realized resentment was blocking that purity within me. Not because I was evil, but because pain had remained trapped inside my heart, unresolved. So God began teaching me how to release it. First through honesty, then through forgiveness. And forgiveness does not mean allowing mistreatment. That was another lesson I had to learn. Forgiveness releases the poison from your soul, but wisdom still requires boundaries. Even Jesus did not give everyone access to his deepest self. That taught me that love and boundaries can coexist. Now, when I feel hurt, I try not to suppress it. I bring it before God. I examine it honestly, and when necessary, I speak with love and clarity instead of silence and resentment. Because truth expressed in love heals, but truth buried in fear becomes bitterness. I believe humanity is going through this collectively right now. So many people are carrying years of unspoken pain, disappointments, rejection, betrayal, grief and resentment, and God is bringing hidden things to the surface, not to shame us, but to free us. Because what is buried cannot heal. Jesus said, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed." And I believe that includes the hidden wounds within ourselves. God is calling many people right now into emotional honesty, spiritual maturity, and authentic living, not performing spiritually, not pretending to be healed, but allowing Him to transform us from the inside out. And sometimes that transformation begins with something very simple, telling the truth. The truth about what hurt us, the truth about what abandoned us, where we abandoned ourselves, the truth about the masks we wore to gain love, the truth about the resentment we carry silently. Because once truth enters the heart, healing can begin. And where healing begins, freedom follows. So if you found this message valuable today, I ask that you share it with people that may need this message. And feel welcome to comment below. I like to hear about other people's journeys, or if you're struggling with something that I can help with, maybe I have some wisdom for you. Otherwise, I'm wishing you a magical day. Much love. God bless.